even though Bartimaeus is not on our church calendar as a saint, he epitomizes what it means to be a saint in our church. People who followed Christ. After he was healed, we're told he followed Jesus down the road, became one of his disciples. Anybody who follows the Lord in any particular way and who follows him into the kingdom of heaven is considered a saint, something that we will observe on November 1st, All Saints' Day. But in anticipation of that day, we ask our children to dress up as their favorite saints. So any boys and girls who are dressed as saints, if you'll come up here so we can meet you and meet the people you are imitating today. So stand up here so everybody can see you and just like form one big line right across the altar. We got a lot of you here. Ooh. Okay. This guy with arrows in him. Come on up here. I'm most interested in you. Okay. So let's start over here. We're just gonna find out what saint. I'm gonna ask you, what saint are you dressed as? And if you know anything about that saint, let's see. Come on up here. Okay, you are, who are you?
Mary.
Mary. And what was Mary, why is she a saint? Who did Mary have as a baby? Who was her baby?
A girl.
Jesus, right? Jesus. Pretty good. Is this Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. And who were you married to, Mary? Who?
Joseph.
Joseph, good. Where is the old man? Is he not around here? Okay, come on up here. So who are you, big saint? What's your name? Are you shy? What is this you're holding? A sword. And what is this? A shield. Who can tell me who he is? Saint Michael the Archangel, the defender in battle. And who did Michael the Archangel do battle with? Satan, Lucifer, the other bad angel, and defeated him. So are you Michael the Archangel? Yeah. You're really excited about it. Okay, who are you?
Saint Philomena.
Saint Philomena, okay. And tell me a little bit about who she was.
She was the saint of the young ones, like the babies and the infants.
Okay. And what did she do that was so special, though? She was just a good woman, Saint Philomena, right? Was she young? Yeah, so she's kind of the patron saint of young people?
Yes.
And when you dress like her, is that how she looked and like when you saw her in a picture or something?
Yes.
Okay, very good, Saint Philomena. And who are you?
Catherine of Alexandria.
Catherine of Alexandria. Wow, you guys are coming up with some good saints. So, do you know who Catherine of Alexandria was? She was a maiden, right? Did she get married to somebody?
Jesus.
Yeah, she said she was married to Jesus. Do you know where Alexandria is? Where did she live? In the desert. Catherine of Alexandria. A long time ago. And you are?
Kavookjian.
Okay, Saint Kateri, right? Saint Kateri. And who was she?
She was the first Native American saint.
First Native American saint. Do you know, like, where she lived?
The Mohawks.
Yeah, she was Mohican, is that right?
Yeah.
And Mohawks, yeah. And do you know where she lived, though? Like, what part of our country? She lived above New York, like upstate New York in Canada. And the French Jesuits came and made converts, and she was one of the converts. So she had kind of a sad life, huh?
Yeah.
She was all disfigured, and she was rejected by her people because she was baptized, and she finally just went off with the missionaries and lived out her life as a good lady. Saint Kiteri Tekaweta. Okay, other than having a dirty face, who are you?
Padre Pio.
Huh?
Padre Pio.
Padre Pio, okay. So what is the most interesting thing about Padre Pio?
You have the stigma.
What is the stigmata?
It's when you have the wounds of Jesus.
Do you have the wounds?
No.
Well, no. But so you have the gloves that Padre Pio wore. His hands were always wrapped because he received the stigmata, the wounds of Jesus. Is that a bad thing or a good thing to have the wounds?
It's a good.
Okay. And what order did he belong to? Do you know?
No.
The Capuchin.
Yeah, the Franciscan Capuchins.
Yeah.
And he's buried in Italy. You know when he lived?
He was born in 1887.
Oh, he lived back into the 1900s, so he's kind of recent, right? Good job, Padre Pio. Make sure you shave. Okay, who are you?
Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc. And who was Joan of Arc?
She was a Catholic saint who fought for King Charles VII.
So she fought for King Charles II. She fought
Seventh.
the 7th. Did she fight for the French or the British?
The French.
Very good. And what happened to her?
She was burned at the stake.
She was burned at the stake. She was betrayed after she led them into victory, and then they captured her and betrayed her, and they burned her, like thinking she was a heretic. You know what a heretic is? Somebody who thinks they don't believe in God, and they think they hear voices, and she was kind of a mystic, you know. Saint Joan of Arc. Very good. She was a good saint and a warrior like you. Okay, royalty, who are you?
St. Louis.
St. Louis. And who was Louis?
He was the guy who let poor people to dinner every single night.
So, was he a king?
Yes.
And what country? Do you know?
No.
France, probably. King Louis. And he was very nice to poor people, right?
Right.
Sometimes kings they have their own money, they don't care about poor people, but Louis was a good king who helped the poor out. Good job, you look good. Okay, you are?
St. Anthony.
St. Anthony. And what is it about St. Anthony that you are looking dressed as?
He's the saint of lost things.
So he's the saint of lost things. So we have a paper clip, money, glasses, a sock, a gift card, a receipt. The only thing you're missing are car keys. Oh, you have a key right there. So, if somebody loses something, like in our Catholic tradition, what do we do?
Pray to St. Anthony.
We pray, St. Anthony, help me find a parking space, help me. Whatever we can do. Very good, okay. You are?
St. Elizabeth of Hungary.
Elizabeth of Hungary, very good. And who was she?
She built a hospital for the poor.
Very good. She was a very nice lady, royalty actually, and she spent all her time and money helping people. And after her husband died, I think she gave all her money away to the poor on built hospitals. You look very nice. Good, Elizabeth of Hungary. I think we met you already back there. You are?
St. Kateri of Tekawita.
Very good. You said it right. Saint Kateri of Tekawita, who was a Native American saint, right? You look nice. Okay. And you are?
Mary.
Mary who?
Mary, the Mother of God.
Oh, okay. Mary, the Mother of God. And why do you think Mary's always dressed in blue in pictures? I don't know. I don't know either. But I think somebody said the blue represents the sky. So Mary is kind of like represents everything. She's watching over us like the sky watches over us. Is that pretty cool?
Yes.
Okay, good job. And you are?
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph. Your wife is down there, I think. Oh, this is your wife, too. about St. Joseph. What do you do for a living? How do you make money? Come on. What did Joseph, the father of Jesus, the foster father, do? He worked with wood. So what does that make him? A builder, a carpenter. He was a carpenter. He made furniture and all kinds of things. And he taught Jesus that, right? And let's see. What is Joseph? He's the patron saint of what? Do you know? That's kind of a hard question.
No.
He's a patron saint of people who are dying. And he's a patron saint of the whole church. Pretty powerful, huh? Mm-hmm. Good job. Okay, you are?
St. Elizabeth Ann Seton.
Oh, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. I like that. Hey. So, tell us just what you know about St. Elizabeth.
St. Elizabeth started the first Catholic girls' school in America, and she also started an order of nuns.
Very good. And you know what time in history she lived?
No.
When our country was getting its freedom. So she was born like right before the American Revolution, 1774 or something like that. So yeah, she's part of our country, the first saint born here. Pretty cool. She was a mom
Of 5.
5 kids. She was married. He died. And then she started a school to take care of her girls and other things. So good job, Elizabeth C. Okay, you are?
St. Lucy.
St. Lucy. So who was St. Lucy? Do you know what her name means? Lucy means light. And she was a young lady who was very popular in the early church. But when you look, did you see her dressed like this in the picture?
No.
Okay. So sometimes Lucy is shown with a wreath in her hair, but candles, because that means light, right? Her name means light. And in some countries on the Feast of St. Lucy, they have ladies, girls, procession with carrying wreaths with candles on there. So she's very popular during Christmas, especially St. Lucy, because it's dark during Christmas, like December, but she represents the light. Okay, let me guess. Who are you? Saint Sebastian. And why are you dressed like that? What happened to Saint Sebastian? They shot him with arrows. That's how they killed him. And it was kind of a sad story, right? He was a good man. He is the patron saint of, you know? Does anybody know who is Saint Sebastian, the patron saint of? Athletes, okay? So athletes call out and look to Saint Sebastian. I think because they killed him for his faith and they shot him with arrows and he didn't die. And so later on they did away with him. But that's how you can see statues of Saint Sebastian in Rome. It looks like that. It looks like that on the shot. Okay, I like your outfit. This is a saint that you may not have heard of. Who are you?
St. Gianna.
St. Gianna. And what did St. Gianna do for work? What was her career? What did she do?
She was a doctor.
She was a doctor. And why is she a saint? Do you know? St. Gianna. Do you know why anybody know why St. Gianna is a saint?
She was pregnant and had cancer and chose not to have chemotherapy until she had a baby.
Right, so she was pregnant and had cancer, and some people were advising, you have to have an abortion, and she said, no, just let it be and want this child to be born. So the baby was born and she died. And so she's a contemporary, I think in the 1900s probably, right? So she's a popular saint, St. Gianna Mala, who for that reason is patron of right to life and the unborn. Okay, you are?
St. Joseph.
I can't hear you through your beard.
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph. And which Joseph?
Jesus' earthly father.
Jesus' earthly father. Very good. Wow. And tell me something about St. Joseph. What do you know?
He was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter, yeah. And what did he make? What was the most expensive thing that Joseph made?
I don't know.
Neither do I. Okay. Good job. You are?
Padre Pio.
Oh, another Padre Pio. And you wear, because what is the stigmata?
It's the wounds of Christ.
The wounds of Jesus, Padre Pio. Oh, you have them there. That's good. Okay. Good. You are?
Juan Diego.
Who?
Juan Diego.
Juan Diego. And who was Juan Diego?
A Mexican.
Yeah.
He was Mexican. And who did he see one day?
Mary.
He saw Mary. Do you know the name of the title of Mary that Juan Diego saw and talked to? Who?
Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Very good. And he saw Our Lady of Guadalupe, and why do you have these flowers?
Because when he was on the hilltop, the bishop needed a sign to tell him that they would make a church.
Good. So the bishop, he went and told the bishop, I saw Mary, and the bishop didn't believe him. So he said, oh, I need a sign that you saw Mary. So next time Juan Diego saw Mary, she miraculously had her image put on his cloak, his tilma. And then when Juan Diego went to the bishop and opened it up, the bishop saw the image of Our Lady and flowers that did not grow in that region fell out of his cloak as well. The bishop believed him, right, after that. Okay, and you are?
St. Anthony.
Oh, St. Anthony. What about St. Anthony?
He had, he found, Saint of Lost Things.
Of lost things. Very good. So what are some of the lost things you have there?
Car keys.
Our keys,
And a watch.
a watch,
Glasses.
and glasses. Yeah. So do you believe if you pray to St. Anthony and you lose something, you find it?
Yes.
Have you ever tried it?
No.
Okay. Next time you lose, like, your homework or something, pray to him.
After I find my homework.
You found it, yeah. And why do you have this little thing there? What is that?
Because that's his hair.
That's how his hair goes. Okay. And you are?
Saint Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc we met already. What do you know about Joan of Arc?
She lived in the 15th century. She fought in battle, but didn't physically hurt or harm her opponents.
Right. And she led them in battle, huh? She dressed in armor, and she was known as the Maid of Orleans. It was a place in France, right? And she had visions where she talked to Jesus. Even before she died, she said, I talked to him. And they didn't want her to say that. They said, we'll spare your life. But she said, no, that's the truth. And then they heard her. Pretty sad, huh? Okay, finally, we have someone else there. Who are you?
Saint Raphael.
Saint Raphael. Oh, okay. So what did Raphael do?
He protects travelers from other things, and he's an archangel.
He's an archangel, and he protects travelers. And in the Bible, he healed somebody. Do you know who he healed?
No.
A guy named Tobias, or Tobit. And you know what Tobit happened to him? What happened to Tobit?
Married somebody.
He got some bird droppings in his eye. Does that sound weird? Yeah, it is. So he was sleeping under a tree, and the bird pooped in his eye. And he went blind. But later on, the Archangel Raphael comes to him and heals him. So Raphael is a patron saint of doctors and healthcare providers and stuff like that. Okay, how are you? Who are you?
Saint Gianna.
Saint Gianna? Yeah, and Saint Gianna, what did she do?
She takes care of kids.
She took care of kids and her own children. And she's the patron saint of babies. Before babies are born, she's the patron saint. You can pray to her for your baby, right?
Yeah.
Good job. Let's hear it for our saints, everybody. Joan of Arc has cheat notes. Okay, everybody, boys and girls, you can sit down. You did a great job. Thank you for teaching us about the saints.